Welcome to TMZ Live. So this is the week of comedians in LA. Netflix is a joke, is filming, and there was a big shindig at the Greek Theater on Wednesday night with Jon Stewart and Seth Rogen. And they made it very clear that these people in Los Angeles are not forgiving Kanye West.
These people?
These people.
Would you like to define these people?
Jon Stewart and Seth Rogen.
Yes, they made clear that they are not in the group, not in the group that is willing to, and it's interesting to forgive Kanye West. It's interesting to make that declaration in LA, which is the place in America where we've seen a lot of forgiveness for him. He sold out 2 nights at SoFi.
70,000 capacity each time.
So
and by the way, not welcome in England, not welcome in France, but in Los Angeles, it seems like it's an Etch-a-Sketch.
So this is what they said when they were each on stage at the Greek Theater for this Netflix is a Joke festival. Jon Stewart said, bleeping Kanye thinks we blanked up his Adidas deal. But seriously, blank that guy. He was like, Hitler was misunderstood. We've got to forgive Hitler. And I'm like, I don't think I need to listen to anybody who thinks Hitler needs to be forgiven, but is still mad at Pete Davidson.
It's funny, but there is a point there. And the point, I think, that Jon Stewart, by the way, Seth Rogen went in too, and he said that he had told mild jokes regarding...
Well, not jokes. Seth Rogen a few years ago got into some trouble for some
talking
things
about
he
Israel.
Said. Yes, talking about Israel.
And he got in trouble.
And he said he got in trouble about it, but in comparison, he's watching what's going on with Kanye, and so Seth said this when he got on stage. I got a lot of blank for what I said. I have no #1 albums. I sometimes think what Adolf Hitler would think of the Kanye West song, Heil Hitler. I bet he'd be torn. Clearly referring to the fact that Kanye is not really the cut out of the Aryan mold.
Right, and again, funny as well, but an underlying point. And the underlying point is that a lot of people, and I got to say, I'm putting myself in there. A lot of people say, hey, somebody says something and, you know, they learn that you can forgive them and whatnot. He's been saying this for years. And his big mea culpa comes when he's got an album that he wants to push and a concert tour. And for a lot of people, myself included, and apparently Jon Stewart and Seth Rogen as well, doesn't cut it. You are embracing a guy who exterminated 6 million people, and you embraced him in a shocking way, repeatedly over a period of time. And it's not just mental illness, because that does come and go, but that kind of theme stayed for a long time.
I'm with you. I'm all for redemptive arcs. We've seen it a lot in Hollywood. There's an immeasurably large capacity for forgiveness when someone uses an epithet that they were ignorant about. Nick Cannon goes and talks to a rabbi. I'm fine with all that. This was so beyond the pale and so not related necessarily to his mental illness, because as you said, this was a sustained period of time that he was saying these things. It was not a manic episode of any short duration. And I don't accept an apology. I don't accept it in the New York Times and just allow him to go on his
So what's interesting is that, you know, they make this declaration, but earlier during the week of Netflix comedy specials, you had Dave Chappelle on stage at the Comedy Store, and he actually brought Kanye up, and he was making a joke about how much money Kanye's lost, and Kanye was in the audience, and he brought him up, and, you know, and the crowd was receptive. Yeah. So you have, and by the way, Dave Chappelle and Jon Stewart are friends,
but they don't agree on this one.
And guess what? You can turn your back on your friends. People have done it before. Seth Rogen is an interesting example.
You know, he's not going to turn his back on a friend.
But he turned his back on James Franco when all that stuff came up, and he turned his back on him. He said, that's a guy I don't want to be associated with anymore. And Dave Chappelle had a responsibility to do that to Kanye West when he said things so far beyond the pale.
You can't say he had a responsibility to do it.
If you watch my fandom,
Dave Chappelle can react however he wants with his friends.
It's true, but you can also make a judgment regarding Dave Chappelle based on what he did.
And I made that judgment.
And I just got to say,
I guess you can make a judgment, but to say he had a responsibility to do that, that's
what Kanye said was outside of the Overton window of responsible thought about anyone.
God, I hate this Overton window thing.
Well, I mean, he just did. It's beyond the pale.
Oh, God, it's like chalk on a blackboard.
Brittany from LA. I just think, honestly, it's great to see. Comedy is an art form of the people. So honestly, it's great to see, like, in a space like the Greek, like them really like getting into the Kanye of it all, like the problem that he really is of it all. I really hope that like we can actually keep him accountable, because mental illness never excuses you from like the, you know, the real damage you do. And Kanye's just such a big figure. It's really hard to like come back from. Like, he really, like, it's so poetic to see this happen at the Greek.
Well,
honestly.
maybe it's poetic, but I gotta say, then when you look at him filling up SoFi, when you
the Greek
see,
is, no offense to the Greek, I love the Greek, but it's a much smaller venue than SoFi.
I think it's like 3,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And SoFi is 70,000, and I'm troubled by that. I'm troubled by Dave Chappelle. You know, I'm troubled that it's okay to kind of etch-a-sketch this away. It really speaks to a much bigger issue in America and the world, I think.
So who was it that said that West and Amanda have to like stay together now? If they stay together, then it's okay.
Like if they get married or whatnot.
Right. That if they get married, then it's okay that they have sort of, you know, injured in some way Sierra by getting together. This is the couple from Summer House.
Does that mean together 24 hours a day?
Probably not, but just that it's a long-term relationship.
There are people who now think that because of this new video.
Right. They think that, and also they think that maybe there's a crack in this relationship, because Wes was out last night at a bar in New York City and was by himself. No Amanda, no other friends, just hanging out and chatting to some people. So the question that a lot of people had is, does this mean
who gives a crap?
They're not together?
Oh, I mean, it's like, so because he went out alone to a bar means somehow he's dumped Amanda.
That was part of it. And also, there were people there who described it as definitely flirty, that he was talking to different women. Look, I disagree with that. He could also just being friendly, because they could be fans of the show who walked up and wanted to talk to him.
So he's flirty. There are lots of people who are flirty, and they're still with their partner. And
as long as your partner is cool with you being flirty.
Yeah, I mean, but there are people who are just naturally flirty. And, you know, maybe she's not down with it, and he did it in a bar for 2 minutes or whatever, but come on.
And he kind of, from what I gather, has a reputation of doing this with women. What's interesting is, what does Amanda think of this now, seeing it? We've spoken to people on both sides this morning before we published this. They both claim they are still romantically together. Well, are they so romantically together now that we've published this and she's seen the video? This could bother her.
Let me ask you a question.
Probably.
If you have
it doesn't bother.
I mean,
they're both on a TV show. When they go out, people are going to talk to them.
This is a calendar question. When is the reunion airing?
I believe it's in a week or two.
Oh, and so he goes out to a bar knowing he's going to be photographed to keep the drama alive.
Or he's just a man, like he's just a hoe.
I'm going with door number one.
Whoa. You cannot jump to what we saw in that video. You cannot jump to he's a hoe.
Come
for you
on.
guys
Absolutely
to sit here,
not.
for him to be in the predicament
You
that
literally
he's
got
in.
upset.
What predicament is
There's
he in?
another theory.
That he cheated
Oh
on,
my
that
God.
he's with his ex's friend, and now you're going to
Did
a
he
bar
walk- did he walk
and
out with anybody?
flirting with women, and Brendan said it looked like that he could be exchanging numbers with someone. Are you kidding? He needs to be laying.
There's nothing in that video that says hoe.
It is promotion, and she's down
Why
with
are you
it.
talking to these
She's down-
females? Where's your
There's
girlfriend?
nothing
Because
in
we're talking about it, and we just said that that reunion
So hold
is on in a
If
week.
a woman walks up and talks to him, he has to just go like,
No, I'm
sorry,
good.
I can't talk to you.
During this
I'm with
time
someone.
right now, yes.
So why do you go to a
that's
bar? Why do you go to a bar?
He shouldn't be there at all.
Okay, well,
He
why
should-
do you?
He should have played
No, he
quick
can't
phone
leave the
and
house.
Why
gone
do you
home.
think he's there,
Because
knowing
he wants
that
to,
he's
because he wants to flirt with
knowing,
other
no.
women.
Does he know he's going to get filmed? Does he know he's going to get filmed?
He knows other women
Does
are going to
he
be
know?
there.
Does he know he's going to
I
get
almost
filmed?
think he
might not
doesn't
know.
care.
Of course he knows.
And if he doesn't care, that just goes to him being a hoe.
he cares
Oh
because
my
he wants.
God.
If he doesn't care, that's even more of a hoe
He
tendency.
wants people to watch
This whole
the
theory is
reunion.
wild.
And
The whole
Amanda
theory is there.
Can I just say, not only is Amanda down with it, Sierra's down with it.
Amanda has no choice to be down with it.
I don't know if
Sierra's down with it. They want,
she put herself in
this
this
show to be
situation.
huge
No.
because it extends their career.
Harvey, the only reason Sierra's down with it is because it makes Amanda look stupid. Like, you got the hoe. Have at it.
Well, she signed up for it.
Hi, I'm Shana. I'm from London and a huge Summer House fan. And I have to agree. I think it's Kyle Cook 2.0 West Wilson. I think there's been a lot of chat about this on the internet. I also worry that Amanda has got herself in the same exact situation with West as she did with Kyle, always wanting a man that's going to be there for her and not out partying all the time. And I don't think she's going to get that with West whatsoever. I always have a soft spot in my heart for West, but where Amanda's concerned, I'm fiercely protective as a fan and want the very best for her. And I don't think West Wilson is it, especially if at this stage in their relationship, he's being seen out in bars in this way, because that's exactly what she hated when she was with Kyle.
That's cool. Are we done with this?
Is there a show is there anything you watch that you're that invested in?
No.
Thank you for your opinion. It's great, and I just learned a lot about the show I didn't know.
No.
Is there anything you've watched?
No.
God bless fans.
Coming up.
Well, the Hantavirus outbreak on that cruise ship. Now, what we are hearing that the World Health Organization has investigators all over the world really trying to trace this.
And it's given us the shivers here at TMZ.
Be right back.
Well, the Hantavirus outbreak on that cruise ship seems to be, at first when you heard the story, there were 3 people who died on the ship. That was very bad, and you thought, all right, it's on the ship and it'll be localized to that. And now what we are hearing are that the World Health Organization has investigators all over the world really trying to trace this, because there are people who got off of the ship, there are people who got onto the ship, there are people who got on planes.
There are people being monitored right now, and we're going to get into this, but they're not isolating. They're just being kind of monitored. And it's given us the shivers here at TMZ because we remember 5 or 6 years ago. So
when we ended up in the middle of a pandemic, and there are concerns. People are, I think, legitimately concerned. Where is this going now? So we are going to bring in a good friend of ours, someone we got to know during the pandemic, and we hope that we are speaking to Dr. Ashish Jha pre-pandemic and that it stays that way. Dr. Jha, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, thanks for having me back, guys. Yeah.
What's the deal with Hantavirus and the potential spread for this?
Look, this is not going to be a pandemic. That's not how this virus is going to behave. But let me tell you guys a little bit what's happening. I'm worried about the people on the cruise ship. I think a lot of them probably end up getting infected. I hope more people don't die, but I'm obviously worried about that. The people who got off the cruise ship and went off all over the place, they got to be monitored. We just got to make sure that they don't end up developing symptoms. If they develop symptoms, they need to isolate. I don't think they need to isolate before they develop symptoms, because this virus doesn't spread that easily, and it only spreads after people develop symptoms. That's the key part. So this is not going to become a global outbreak, but we do have to pay attention and do our job.
So I have to stop where you said that some more people on the ship may develop symptoms. You know, they say that this is a disease spread through intimate contact when it's human to human. But if it's multiple people on this ship, I'm starting to think, what kind of intimate contact if person A, who has no connection to person, X, they both end up getting it. So it's not feeling as intimate as it's being sold.
Yeah, so you're asking what kind of cruise ship is this?
Well, I guess that's another way of putting it. But no, I mean, I'm really serious. It's like,
I know.
How intimate can this be if you've got multiple suites getting this?
Yeah. No, look, that's a good question. Here's what we know about this. First of all, this is not a virus we know a ton about. I mean, we haven't had that many outbreaks of the Hantavirus. So that's kind of point number one. We're learning. But everything we know about this virus says it's hard to spread. And that generally means, yes, intimate contact, obviously, that's one. The problem with cruise ships is you get like people packed into close quarters for long periods of time, right? So maybe you're sitting with somebody for 4 hours watching shows or doing other things. That's that's probably enough. So you're not going to get it passing somebody in a grocery store. You're not going to get it kind of through casual contact. But in cruise ships, you end up having a lot more exposure.
But then what about a concert? What about a concert?
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting next to somebody for several hours and they're symptomatic, that's the other part. So if they're feeling fine, that's not a big deal. But if they have like a fever and they have a cough and they're still going to that concert for several hours, yeah, I think that's more of a risk.
So at a concert or on a plane, on a train for a long period, and you're sitting there. The part that scared me about it, doctor, was the fact that it's an 8-week incubation period.
Yeah.
But you're saying that if you don't have symptoms, you're fine. So even if you're within that 8 weeks, but if the person has no symptoms, you're fine to be next to them for 3 hours, say.
Yeah, and let me just be very clear about this. When we have looked at like past outbreaks of this virus, first of all, most of the times it doesn't spread human to human. But when it does, the person who spread it had symptoms at that time. We've not seen any evidence so far that anybody without symptoms has spread this virus. And if you understand how the virus works, that makes sense that this one is probably going to be one where you have to have symptoms. So if somebody's feeling fine, no fever, no headache, generally doing great, they don't need to be isolated.
So I have another problem. So I remember back in COVID when everybody kind of was looking at COVID one way, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, another strain came along that nobody had anticipated, but it just morphed. And what's to say that doesn't happen here? So what you're describing may be with the existing strain, but we saw this morph with COVID. Why wouldn't it morph here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, people have done the genetic analysis on this strain, the one that's causing the outbreak right now. It looks just like the previous strains. I can't make promises for the future, right? I can't tell you this will not morph, but this is not a virus that tends to morph so much. Remember, COVID, we knew nothing about it because it was a brand new virus. We had never dealt with it. Hanta's been around for at least we've known about it for 5, 6 decades, 50, 60 years. And we have not seen it do the kind of morphing that we saw with COVID. So I am cautiously optimistic it's not going to do that. So far, it's not showing any evidence that it's going to do that. Obviously, I can't 100% guarantee it'll never do that, but I'm pretty confident it's probably not going to happen. It's unlikely to happen. Let's put it that way.
Okay. So can I just tell you what makes me really nervous?
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
That
because
map
it's been
behind
making me.
you.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
it is so bothering me.
Please tell me that's a game of Risk that you're playing and not anything having to do
Seriously.
with global.
Why do I have? Look, I needed something in my background, okay? So I put up a globe. But now I'm thinking,
really,
I just got to put up some calming art that says everything's
Yes.
Like
It'll be
Niagara
nice.
Falls or something. But please, come on. Jeez. We'll send you something.
Right,
How's that?
Dr.
John.
I love that. Tell me what I should put up. And if you want to send it to me, I'm all in.
Now, see, you always want to interior decorate.
Sorry. We so appreciate you coming
Dr. John,
on.
thank you, man.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Doctor.
That's relieving news to hear.
Yes.
Coming up.
How do we feel about the government drop on UFOs? It's definitely a mixed bag. I got questions about this. So joining us now to talk about the release of the files, Jeremy, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Phoebe Rexa was looking hot on vacation.
Look at the water, too. Did you just say look at the water?
I mean, I'll be honest, that is what I was looking at. So how do we feel about the government drop on UFOs, UAPs?
Mixed feelings.
They, as promised, the president said that they were going to be releasing some files, and I don't think that this is what they released today is everything. It's the start.
This is Epstein-esque.
But
so we're
the
releasing some of the files.
Some images, some videos, and it's definitely a mixed bag. Some of it you go, okay, that doesn't seem all that impressive. And then there are some things I will say, in particular, the moon shot from Apollo 17. I got questions about this. Now, one of the people we've told you who's been fighting for this, for more transparency from the government, is our good friend Jeremy Corbell, who is obviously this is a big day for him. He and George Knapp have been pushing the government for this transparency.
And as a matter of fact, some of these images are images that they found and that the government eventually got.
Right. So joining us now to talk about the release of the files, Jeremy, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey guys, great to see you. Thanks for having me on.
First of all, congratulations on your film, which we're going to talk about, which debuts tonight.
Sleeping Dog, yeah.
But before we do, what stands out to you the most from this file dump?
My perspective is a little bit, it's surreal to me. It's a Twilight Zone. You know, George and I, we've been giving the Pentagon and the DOW a nudge to release this stuff for a long time, trying to provoke a proper response from government about transparency on UAP. We've been doing it a long time, as you know, Harvey. And, you know, I think it's coincidental that today is the first drop, and when it's the premiere of my film Sleeping Dog, which is really born out of this frustration that the government wasn't releasing proper information. I haven't gone through the whole archive. I was told directly from the White House and by Representative Burleson that it's going to be a slow weekly release. But to what end? So the idea is we have these craft, they can perform in ways that you know, our hardware can't. How far will they go? I'm really excited. I'm encouraged. People should be encouraged and optimistic that there's a turn of transparency.
We've got to get to this Apollo 17 image because I've been, ever since I saw it this morning, I was like, I got to know what Jeremy thinks of this. So the image is from Apollo 17, the last lunar landing mission, and it shows, you can see the shadow of the landing craft, and then in the distance, like in the sky, there are 3 dots that I don't know what it is, but I can imagine if I were one of the astronauts standing on the moon that day and suddenly there's something that appears to be a spacecraft floating above the moon, I would freak out.
Yeah, well, I've spoken with a lot of astronauts. I hope this opens up a little bit what they can talk about and not have to walk stuff back. Even in Sleeping Dog, I do the last interview with Dr. Edgar Mitchell, 6th man to walk on the moon. And he had a lot to say about the UAP reality. So now that we have some footage, people can now analyze that. That's more data. But, you know, I do got to say, this is the pressing issue. The public asked for 46 videos, number 2 of which George and I have already released to the public. So that list of videos, those classified videos, that is specifically what I'd like the American public to see. George and I have been exposed to them. I think some of them would be an absolute game changer. So for me, this is kind of, okay, it's a nice slow disclosure coming forward. But if they release those 46 videos, and if they don't, I suspect journalism will do their job for them.
Maybe. I mean, journalism hasn't been able to crack Epstein, and there are some clear unanswered things there. You know, we had a big debate in the newsroom this morning about why the government has tried to block this for so many decades. And, you know, people in here were saying because Earthlings couldn't handle it. And that seems weird to me. And I, you know, I was thinking a lot about it today, that what do you mean we can't handle the truth? You know, if there are, you know, aliens, if there are, well, the reality is they haven't tried to harm us in centuries. Right. And so, in a way, it's more comforting for me to know that there are aliens than it is Iran has a nuclear weapon or could have one.
If that's the end result and that's where we're going towards, look, these videos are great. The ultimate thing is we've had people raise their hand in Congress. We have fought every inch to get people to be able to testify under oath, from Navy commanders all the way to David Grush, who talked about biologics, beings. Why is it being held back? Look, we're not going to go into some ontological shock about it. People are now ready for this information.
But then, Jeremy, why is the government so? What's the motivation behind keeping it secret?
It's really simple, Harvey, and we've talked about this before, is that we want a technological advantage. It is fact that we have some of these craft, we've been exploiting them for derivative technologies. We've been exploiting them for weaponry, and all of the different countries that are technologically advanced have been doing the same. So the reason why this is held so secret, higher than weapons of mass destruction, is because we are looking for competitive advantage in warfare. It's an old school way of thinking. Again, you know about nuclear science, but you can't build an atom bomb. People need to know the truth. We are being visited. They're craft from unknown origin. They're technologically advanced, but the secrecy was put in place back in the day because they wanted to make sure that this technology that could be weaponized didn't leak out to other countries. That was the reason for the secrecy. Now we're past that.
So, Jeremy, you said just one last question about this. You said that you were told there were going to be weekly releases.
Yes.
There's a phrase in the news which we call burying the lead, and I feel like if there are more impressive, as you said, there's 46 videos. If there are more impressive things, why not lead with the thing that's going to get attention, that's going to make people go, okay, there's something here we should be paying attention to. When you release things like they did today, where there's a lukewarm, at best, response to it or reaction, you lose people.
Yeah, it's going to go one of two ways. I have been exposed to, George Knapp has been exposed to, we had people testify to, like, biologics, right? Actual beings that pilot these craft and autopsies of them. If that is true, why are they burying the lead? It's either a slow acclimation to the public or they didn't get the good stuff. Even by presidential order, this is so locked down and compartmentalized programs that they didn't get the good stuff to release. But I think that it's just going to be a slow burn.
I think it's door number 2. Okay. Let's talk about your movie.
Dog. Congratulations. I was watching the trailer. This is a fascinating look at your life's work, really.
Yeah, so the cameras were turned around on me once again. You know, I gave this kid a bunch of footage, about 20 years of my footage. You see in this movie some shocking things.
It really follows your research, your journalism, as you're talking to really all sorts of people from, aerospace legends. I saw the part with John Lear. And as you mentioned, you speak to astronauts as well. Watching this, does it get you closer to the truth as a viewer?
Absolutely. I think that this movie does a job that the government didn't fully pull off today. I think you're going to see things in the movie that have never been seen before. Sure, it tells my story and it shows you how I got here so people understand that George and I are fighting for transparency. But look, this movie is about journalism. This movie is about freedom of speech, First Amendment, and really freedom of thought. If the public is not given what we've been exposed to and they don't have that data set to look at the UAP issue, then we have a big, Houston, we got a big problem, right? So this movie really is about the right to perform journalism. You will see in this movie the threats that I have gotten. You'll see the way that people have tried to control the narrative, tried to shut me and George down. That is documented in this movie. I wanted people to know so they can rally behind me and George. You know, this has been a treacherous path, and you can see we make a decision in the movie about our reporting. You see it in real time, and that should tell you what's coming next.
I have a slightly different take on this, and I think you're being too modest. That I remember 20 years ago when anybody who talked about what you talk about is just passed off as crazy. Tinfoil hats, fringe part of society. And you and George have just hunkered down and pushed and brought it into the mainstream. So now Congress is acknowledging it. The White House is acknowledging it. The Defense Department is acknowledging it. And you have literally transformed this whole area from crazy people to something everybody needs to know about. And that, to me, is the point of this movie. And I think it is just such a testament to what you and George have done.
Thank you, Harvey, and we're doing our best. That's the best we can do. Nothing is planned. It's provoked. We absolutely are fighting because we know the American public has been lied to. We've been exposed to that, and it's important that people get to see what we've seen. And so that's why Sleeping Dog was born. It was to push back, and here we are today. And maybe some of it worked. I mean, now there are files being released, and fingers crossed we're going to get better. But if we don't, we're going to provoke more, and you'll see that in the movie.
All right. Okay. Well, it is in select theaters this weekend. Next week on Apple TV, correct? Streaming on Apple TV. So,
and also Amazon and everywhere you can get movies, I'm sure, on the 12th. Yeah.
Excellent.
Congrats, Jeremy.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, Harvey. And thank you guys for always treating this as a news story. We're in a different era now. Let's see where this goes. But the fight doesn't stop. It just starts right now.
You got it, man.
All right.
Coming up.
It seems like there is a bottomless pit of Dianna Russini clips that people are now looking at with a different lens, with the knowledge of this relationship that she and Mike Vrabel have clearly had for 6 years at least. This one,
it looks like this happened
during the pandemic. It's crazy because they're both in it.
Be right back.
Let's play the feud.
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome back to TMZ Live, and we are going to play the feud with everybody's favorite NFL reporter, or former NFL reporter at this point, Dianna Russini. It does seem
and
like
Mike Vrabel.
Yes, and Mike Vrabel is also playing, coincidentally. It seems like there is a bottomless pit of Dianna Russini clips that people are now looking at with a different lens, with the knowledge of this relationship that she and Mike Vrabel have clearly had for 6 years at least. This one, I also...
It looks like this happened during the pandemic.
It's crazy because they're both in it.
It looks like it happened during the pandemic.
Yes, we think it was like 2021, and the folks over at Barstool were doing playing the feud. They're playing Barstool Feud, and the contestants included Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel. So they're on a Zoom, and this is the question that Dianna had to answer.
And watch Russini, watch Mike Vrabel's reaction.
Yes.
Okay, Dianna, what is something you might close your eyes to do?
When you have sex with your husband or wife.
Again, this is from Family Feud Kids, but yes.
She answered it. Yep. She answered it. It's done. That's the
it's
one.
Done.
No,
you have to take the answer.
Okay. Well, that is just a whole different Oprah when you watch it today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you see his reaction.
But exactly. Again, that was the thing that, and very quickly, she had that locked and loaded. So why was that the thing she's thinking? And again, this would be at somewhere around a year, probably after the first photos we've now seen of them making out at the bar in New York City. It kind of feels like
they had a code going on, like a secret code of, nobody knows but us.
I don't think it's that deep. I think she's on a Barstool show, and anyone who consumes their content, this is the kind of stuff that they go for. They like that kind of stuff. But the thing with Russini is she has a history of doing this even on ESPN, on other shows, on
every
Sirius
appearance
XM.
she makes.
She would make comments about her husband and their sex life. And it's just really puzzling now, knowing what we do, that it was an attempt at being funny, but
It's
now it's
so
painted in
often.
a different light, or viewed in a different light.
I mean, you could also look at it and say, look, she's just a very sexual person. I mean, every appearance every show she's been on, somehow, at some point, she makes a comment that has to do with sex.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the best defense she could say is that that's just, she's a sexual person. But everyone's looking at it now saying, oh yeah, because what they think was going on behind the scenes.
You can't ignore his reaction. And I mean, nobody knew back then.
How do you read his reaction?
Well, it's like,
at this point,
you just
by the way,
said that?
He's a guy in the NFL at the time, too. I feel like he has to kind of just not really lean into it, regardless of what his relationship was with her. He has to be like, oh, I don't approve of this. He's an NFL coach.
Yeah. I was just thinking, so this is 2021. It's sometime around this, the trip to the lake when they had the boat outing.
The boat outing, I think it was 2021 or 2021.
Yeah.
But what happened in 23, 2024, 2025? Because I don't recall seeing pictures in that time frame.
2024, they were at the casino together. We posted those pictures.
That was after he got
fired. Was that the last picture?
That was
until
after he got fired
the
from
Arizona
Titans.
pictures, yeah.
Okay. Got it. Well, at least it's lasted.
Hi, I'm Molly in Glendale, and I just want to say that it's so easy to go back through old footage and construct a new story that is so harmful and really hurtful to the people involved. I really feel for their spouses, but at the end of the day, they had an affair.
Yep.
What does it sound like when a Jedi apologizes? It's a Star Wars question.
I got it. I mean, I just don't have a snappy answer to that.
My problem is anytime I think of something Star Wars, I immediately look at Anakin. I can't help it.
Oh, that's right.
It does.
Anakin.
But yes, we're talking about Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill issuing an apology now for... Of sorts. It's one of those...
If I offended you, I'm sorry.
And the apology really should go to President Trump and not to anyone else, but this is what he said in his apology for a post he put up, basically wishing death on the president.
We should show. Here's what he put up. Is basically Donald Trump dead.
Yes.
And if
in
only,
a grave. Yes, if only, had him in a grave. So in the apology, he's now changed his art. So he took down the grave image and used that shot of the president's hair and said, accurate edit for clarity. He, the president, should live long enough to be held accountable for his crimes. Actually, I was wishing him the opposite of dead, but I apologize if you found the image inappropriate.
So it's weird to say I was wishing him the opposite if you're showing him dead. And then it says, if only.
Right.
The
imagery says one thing,
with me. Yeah.
And the words he's now saying say something different.
It's nonsense. Just stand by it, Mark Hamill. You said it. You mean it. Stand by it. Have the you-know-what to at least do that much.
It's weird because...
You freaking coward.
Well,
jeez. It's so gross. It's days after somebody for the third time tries to kill this man, and this is the crap we're posting. I'm sick. I'm sick. And by the way, I don't like the things that Donald Trump has said about people who have passed away. It's gross.
And but not just passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, putting
imagery
then
of
President Biden in the back of a pickup truck, hogtied.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I was more thinking like Robert Mueller and Rob Reiner and things like that.
Too.
But I don't like that either. Right. I think it's different, but I don't like that either. So I'll be consistent.
And that is the whole thing when everyone says bring the rhetoric down, but then
it's both sides.
It's always the other guy.
Exactly.
You always want the other guy to do it.
Right. It's both sides.
Never you.
It is both sides. And I will say that we're going to have a bigger problem because with the polling with young people on whether political violence is ever acceptable, it's way above
Why
what
would you
everybody
go
else.
into politics these days? I would never run.
No kidding.
Right?
No kidding.
Hey, hi, I'm Morgan from Philadelphia. I think people of his age group love overusing AI for really useless things. I think he was trying to have a Kathy Griffin, like headless Trump kind of moment, but it didn't really have the effect or the reach that he wanted. I think, his heart was maybe in the right place, but he didn't have the impact and the reach that he needed.
Well, I don't know why he would want to emulate the Kathy Griffin thing, because she got a whole rash of trouble for that.
And by the way,
the FBI investigating her.
Unfairly, I think.
Right.
Coming up.
Well, the parade of actresses to the OnlyFans platform continues.
Sex is the first business on the planet, and it probably won't go away, but this is a gold mine for artists and or creators.
Be right back.
Well, the parade of actresses to the OnlyFans platform continues. We told you Jamie Presley is the latest one. We had Shannon Elizabeth.
Amber
Rose is on there. Carmen Electra seems to be doing very well.
Denise Richards
is on.
On and on and on.
On and on. So, look, when OnlyFans kind of started, it seemed like this was a way for people who are, for lack of a better term, no names, to go on there and make some money.
Many of whom are making a lot of money.
Many of whom although I think more are not making a lot of money.
That's true too.
Is what we've learned.
That's true
doing
too.
Some documentaries. But why are now famous people going to this, and can they actually make decent money? Well, if we're going to follow the money, we got to bring in our good buddy Damon John.
Excuse me.
What?
King John.
King
move
John. Yes, just get.
No, you got to move to your left. You got to turn around. You got to position. There
Boom.
You go.
Nailed
there you go.
Yes, we have brought in the king of following the money, Damon John. Good to see you again, man.
Good seeing you both. Yeah, this is a platform that I think is extremely powerful, and we already know people were making money in the adult arena, which sex is the first business on the planet, and it probably won't go away. But this is a gold mine for artists and or creators, whether you're a chef, whether you're somebody who has a huge fan base that you are in control of now. So let's get into it.
Okay. My thing is, I'm a huge fan of the concept of OnlyFans because you have a lot of people who, look, it's true. I think 1% of them make 33% of the income. So most people don't make a lot of money, but welcome to acting. Most actors are waiters.
Right.
So it's no different, but it gives people an avenue. It's a new way of presenting themselves. And yeah, some of it's sexual, but so what?
But they're choosing, they control the content, and maybe that's the most
it's such a judgmental thing to say, you shouldn't be doing that. If people do that and they get an audience and they're rewarded for it and feel rewarded, what's wrong with that?
Listen, Shannon Elizabeth she made over $1.2 million in her first 7 days. Now, think about years ago when she started, you know, we know her from, I think, American Pie.
Yeah.
And let's say she did a bunch of Maxim covers. Well, it's free because it's earned media. She would have had to done it for free. Then she's not in control of the pictures and she doesn't know when it's going to be released. She did $1.2 million in the first 7 days of an intellectual property that really everybody kind of maximized, for lack of a better word. Yes, it's game on. All of the people who are on OnlyFans, they keep 80% of what the tokens or whatever they are that the people give them, and everything else. It is just like live selling. You're just live selling this intellectual property or this intellectual property. A lot of fitness people are on there. A lot of chefs are on there. It's a good business. It's empowering people right now at home.
You know, this whole idea, if they want to take their clothes off, there should be no shame in this, because if you look at...
I know what you're saying, but the fact is, there is.
Hold on. If you look at movies that are on streaming right now, it's pretty much sex in all of these, and explicit and lurid, yet it's okay because it's done by a director. So what? If somebody does the same thing on OnlyFans, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. If you like it in movies...
Maybe that's not the phrase to use here.
Okay, maybe that was a bad one.
Stop thinking about heated rivalry.
Okay. I was not thinking about heated, although that's a good example.
Yes,
that's a good example.
That's what I was thinking about.
Okay, but there are plenty of them. So the idea that, you know, one is art and one is porn, I think is BS.
It's only the people who are perverts who made it sound bad, and they're the worst out of everybody, judging, saying you shouldn't do that. Meanwhile, they're doing this. I think that it is the exact way that people can get their brand out. Listen, before we went on, I heard some of your team were talking about, would people like to see Harv, you know, and Charles on OnlyFans?
Oh God, would you stop? They were kidding, Damon.
No. I got to tell you, listen, you are media experts, and if I
first of all, I'm not going on with him. I'll tell you that much.
If I want to know something behind the scenes of what you're thinking, if I want to really know behind the scenes of what you guys are thinking, what you've seen over your career, I probably would actually pay for it too, right? So I think that people...
wait a minute, we're reading our autobiography on OnlyFans? Is that what you're saying?
That's probably the best. If I heard you say, listen, if I heard the camera's off and I didn't get enough of this topic today, and I say, Harvey Charles, really, what do you really think about this? Let's stop being all kind of, proper about it. And you say, go onto this page. I'm going to tell you my personal thoughts that have nothing to do with the network. I'd probably pay for it.
You may be alone there.
Well, you're our sole customer.
No kidding.
So that's not going to work out.
Okay, Your Highness, we appreciate the time.
Yes, thank you very much. We genuflect to you, King John.
Coming up.
So Britney Spears is back here in the LA area after her rehab stint, and stint is maybe even giving it more credit than it deserves, because we know she was there less than 3 weeks.
This place has a minimum stay of 45 days. It's 45 to 90.
Be right back.
So Britney Spears is back here in the LA area after her rehab stint, and stint is maybe even giving it more credit than it deserves, because we know she was there less than 3 weeks. And a lot of people around her felt that she needed
90
much
days.
more than that. Well,
they felt she needed 90 days.
Right.
We know that.
That number is interesting because we found out where she actually did go for her rehab. It's a place in Maine called Borden Cottage, and it's in Camden, Maine. Very picturesque little town, but it does have some celebrity amenities. But I think most importantly for Britney, they do dual diagnosis treatment.
Which is essential, which means they're not only treating substance abuse, but they're treating underlying mental illness, which she needs.
Right.
Problem is, this place has a minimum stay of 45 days. It's 45 to 90, and we know that people around her wanted her to stay for 90 days. We know that absolutely. And she stayed at most 17 days.
Right.
So this is, in 17 days, you are not going to get any kind of treatment. You're going to get clean, and you're going to get no treatment beyond that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we know that people around her are, hopeful that she learned a lot from this. But I mean, this place, I'm surprised she didn't stay longer because it's totally fit for a pop star. It only has 12 bedrooms, so only 12 different people can stay there at a time. The city, or I should say town of Camden, only 2,000 people, so it's very, very remote. Pool, spa, massages at this place. So you think that
Which, by the way, does not ultimately help you.
Doesn't ultimately help,
but it definitely
does
can
draw
relax.
the person, gives them a reason to stay.
But
right?
the reason she didn't is because there's a structure. You have to meet with doctors. You have to meet with psychiatrists, and she just doesn't tolerate that well. And there's nobody telling her that has the authority to tell her, you got to do this. So it's all on her, and she's got underlying issues that make her want to leave, and nobody can stop her from doing it, and it becomes this. So in terms of hoping that she's going to get better, again, I hope she gets better, but this is not a great scenario.
Hi, I am Ash out of Atlanta, and I will admit I have a soft spot for her. I'm not excusing unhealthy behavior at all, and honestly, I'm happy that she saw some sort of help. She might need a wake-up call, but the way people act so entitled to criticize every detail of Britney's struggles, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but leave Britney alone.
But hold on. Let me make an argument to you that a lot of people have a soft spot for her who think she should be under a conservatorship because it actually helps her and helps her get through life. So the soft spot works on that side too.
I agree.
Coming up.
Well, Justin Bieber got a follow-up gig after Coachella. I guess it went so well that...
I think he made a lot of money.
I think so, and it was only a 30-minute set.
How much do you think he got? Just ballpark it? I have an idea.
Be right back.
Well, Justin Bieber got a follow-up gig after Coachella. I guess it went so well that...
I think he made a lot of money.
I think so, and it was only a 30-minute set, but when your 30-minute set is in front of people like Jeffrey Katzenberg, Oprah, Bob Iger, the one percenters, then you're probably getting paid quite a bit. This was an annual function that Katzenberg throws. It's called the WNDR conference.
So Justin has to drive about an hour, 10 minutes, and probably got...
Helicopter.
Maybe took a helicopter.
Maybe helicopter.
How much do you think he got? Just ballpark it? I have an idea.
For 30, a mil?
I think 2.
You think 2?
I think you could get $2 million for that.
You probably could.
I mean, gas.
Right, when you throw in gas, then it is $2 million.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, have a great weekend. We will see you Monday.
Happy Mother's Day.